Hello everyone, and welcome to this podcast. If you're looking to expand your English vocabulary and improve your language skills, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the famous book 504 Absolutely Essential Words, a fantastic resource for mastering key English words used in everyday conversations, exams, and professional settings. In this podcast, we will learn 6 words from this book, and by the end, we will have a short story using these 6 words. You'll learn their meanings, how to pronounce them correctly, and how to use them in sentences. By the end of this lesson, you'll feel more confident using these words in your speaking and writing. The 5th lesson. The first word is typical. It means usual, of a kind. The first example, the sinister character in the movie wore a typical costume, a dark shirt, low tie, and tight jacket. The second example, the horse ran its typical race, a slow start and slower finish, and my uncle lost his wager. The third example, it was typical of the latecomer to conceal the real cause of his lateness. The fourth example, arriving late to meetings has become a typical habit for him. The fifth example, for dinner, they usually have a typical Italian meal with pasta and salad. The second word is minimum. It means the least possible amount, the lowest amount. The first example, studies show that adults need a minimum of 6 hours sleep. The second example, the minimum charge for a telephone, even if no calls are made, is about $60 a month. The third example, Congress has set a minimum wage for all workers. The fourth example, the minimum temperature tonight is expected to be 5 degrees Celsius. The fifth example, on some highways, there is a minimum speed limit you must maintain. The third word is scarce. It means hard to get, rare. The first example, chairs that are older than 100 years are scarce. The second example, because there is little moisture in the desert, trees are scarce. The third example, how scarce are good cooks? The fourth example, water is scarce in many desert regions. The fifth example, ancient coins are scarce and highly valued by collectors. The fourth word is annual. It means once a year, something that appears yearly or lasts for a year. The first example, the annual convention of musicians takes place in Hollywood. The second example, the publishers of the encyclopedia put out a book each year called an annual. The third example, plants that live only 1 year are called annuals. The fourth example, the city hosts an annual music festival every summer. The fifth example, the board of directors holds an annual meeting to discuss future plans. The fifth word is persuade. It means win over to do or believe, make willing. The first example, can you persuade him to give up his bachelor days and get married? The second example, no one could persuade the captain to leave the sinking ship. The third example, Beth's shriek persuaded Jessie that she was in real danger. The fourth example, in the debate, he used strong arguments to persuade the audience. The fifth example, the salesman tried to persuade the customer to buy the latest model. The sixth word is essential. It means necessary, very important. The first example, The essential items in the cake are flour, sugar, and shortening. The second example. It is essential that we follow the road map. The third example. Several layers of thin clothing are essential to keeping warm in frigid climates. The fourth example. Strong communication skills are essential for success in any job. The fifth example. It's essential to read the instructions carefully before starting the project. Now we have a short story from the words we have learned. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, the typical routine of the villagers was disrupted by an unexpected challenge. Every year, the village held an annual harvest festival, a celebration that was essential to their culture and livelihood. The festival brought together everyone to share food, music, and laughter, and it marked the culmination of their hard work in the fields. However, this year, the crops were scarce due to an unusually long drought. The water sources had dried up, and the villagers were worried that there wouldn't be enough food to celebrate the festival. The village elder, wise and experienced, called for an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. "We must find a way to make the most of what we have," the elder said. "It's essential that we come together and find a solution." A young villager named William stepped forward with an idea. "Why don't we ask neighboring villages for help?" he suggested. "We can persuade them to share some of their surplus crops with us." The elder nodded thoughtfully. "It's worth a try, but we must be mindful. We should only ask for the minimum amount we need to ensure that we don't put a strain on their resources." William and a few other villagers set out on a journey to the nearby villages. They explained their situation and asked for assistance. At first, some villagers were hesitant, but William's sincerity and determination managed to persuade them. They agreed to share what they could spare. With the contributions from the neighboring villages, the harvest festival went ahead as planned. The villagers were grateful for the support they received, and the festival was a heartwarming reminder of the power of community and cooperation. Even in the face of adversity, they learned that by working together, they could overcome challenges and keep their traditions alive. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and until the next one, goodbye.